Okay, I called it the American scam as a pun to the American dream, but this video mostly tackles the topic regarding why people don't want to work as much and why people don't want to slave themselves and hoard themselves to companies as thirstily anymore, like they did in the past. Again, I put America, but the thing is, I'll be using other countries as an example. This is not an America-centric channel. America number one! Okay, well, let's get into it. Earlier, slightly before people like Milton Friedman were born, and during his time as well, a lot of shit was bad. Okay? Racism, sexism, and a lot of diseases, alright? I get it. I'm not trying to praise that era too much, alright? Disclaimer over. Okay, now allow me to praise the era in which marital rape was legal. This is a joke, okay? You like how I rammed it down your throat? Holy fuck, did I write this? Wow, okay. It looks like Andrew Tate rubbed off on me real good, huh? No homo, no consent. Okay, I promise I'm done. Tell me if you found it funny in the comments, please. But there were many things back then that were actually good. This is why people like Milton Friedman and F.A. Hayek believed in the market so much. Because slightly before them, you just had a king who fucking took everything. Back then, the market was truly open to all and there were opportunities. Many people, America included, lived in big families and worked mostly on farms and could exchange their goods in a free market. They could also innovate, differentiate their products, and things like that. Way better than the asshole king taking everything. And back then, people had access to technology and innovation was very prominent. Why was it very prominent? Because innovation happened by people who did things with their hands as opposed to like corporate facilities. I mean, think about it. Antibiotics, computers, electromagnetics. There were many serendipitous discoveries back in the day. And every one of those discoveries is way better than, I would argue, any discovery in the 21st century. What's the 21st century discovery? OnlyFans, I guess. You get the point, right? You would work on a farm. You would work with animals. You would learn some skills. You would have a trade. You would innovate that trade a little bit and pass it down to the next generation. Your neighbor would be a tailor. A similar story happens there. Then you'd have a cobbler, a watchmaker, and so on. Skills and property was passed down generations. Goods were exchanged in the free market, and there were lots of intercommunal relationships between customers and sellers. It was a rather organic society. This obviously triggered Karl Popper a lot. Right? You didn't have anyone sitting in front of the TV consuming lots of ads or worshipping celebrities like crazy. Or, to use a more modern example, watching Twitch and like paying $5 to have some half-naked woman say their name or some shit. You get the point. Animals lived well also. They were all on pastured farms, as opposed to industrial incubators for viruses. You know what I mean. Due to the lack of centralization and rather stable and relaxed IP laws, people were actually free. You could sell meat, and you could make a rather good living doing that. You could also innovate shit, and you could sell goods. People knew how to cook. Back then, people valued precious food, but now everybody looks for the cheapest shit. Obesity was low, women were hot, and opportunities existed, okay? Alright, now let me use another example. In fact, this is why Sweden was so successful. They had close-knit communities, family values, farming economy, hard work, and this led to their country having lots of wealth. The excessive welfare state came after all of this, okay? So it was not necessarily quote-unquote welfare that led to their success. And then what happened is the university started convincing everybody that they needed an expensive ass degree to do basic stuff. Again, I bring up this guy a lot. Joseph Schumpeter basically predicted that the intellectuals would fuck up society. Because again, you don't need that many people with degrees. That's just fucking true. Most of the time, you just need people doing normal ass shit. Okay, that's how economies survive. And again, the university marketing campaign was arguably the most successful advertisement campaign throughout history. More successful than cigarettes because people still buy uni degrees. Everyone wanted to live in quote-unquote the city. And at the same time, corporations were becoming bigger and stronger. We were shifting from a goods economy to an attention economy. The farming industry was shrinking and monopolies were taking over everything. And advertisement and consumerism became the norm. People started to pray to companies and celebrities instead of actual gods. Zeus became Red Bull and cars took over the entire fucking world. At the same time, several thousands of manufacturing jobs left the US. Again, this is another thing many people just don't understand. Back then, You didn't need a degree. You literally didn't. You could work a manufacturing job, learn a trade, and then you could save up enough money and start your own fucking business. Okay, this was the American dream. Now you cannot do that. Why? Because manufacturing jobs just don't exist. And unless you are born into wealth, you just have access to zero fucking capital and you have a zero fucking chance. All the manufacturing jobs are in China, or I don't know, they're trying to move to Bangladesh now because China's demanding higher working conditions. And the weird part is the US, okay, or that entire side of the world has enough raw materials to literally make everything it needs. You know the Americube from Inside Job? Yes, that can actually be done. America, I mean the South America and North America. I don't just mean the US. That whole fucking place. Everything can be done there. It can virtually be a planet of its own. But instead, Daddy Vivek wants to send AR-15s to Taiwan because guess what, guys? Taiwan, labor conditions are lower, wages are lower, and semiconductors are cheaper. You see, Apple, Foxconn, guys, we need to protect Steve Jobs' factories, okay? Earlier, you could work for a car company. I see the irony in that example, but just stick with me. You could work for a car company, no degree, no whiteness needed either. You know what I mean? You could have a fucking black dude working in an automobile manufacturing company, and he would have enough money to send his kids to university, own a house, own a car. Again, car, you get the irony, but whatever. You could learn some fucking skill, buy a shop, and then start selling shit. I'll use Germany as an example. In my German class, we actually looked at an example of this. A German person learned baking in about 2 years from 1965 to 1967. This story was told in German because it was a German class, obviously. And he bought his own bakery and he got married and then he built a house. And basically I guess him and his partner built a life for himself. I'll put a picture of it on the screen, but the quality is pretty low. A story like this was featured in a textbook, right? Opportunities like this, the German example, Sweden, okay, the American example, I guess, opportunities like this no longer exist. Every industry has virtually been hijacked by a massive corporation. We are closer and closer to an open society than ever. Yes, in an open society, corporations will have huge amounts of power. Everything will be specialized to an almost autistic degree, okay? Selling raw milk is illegal in the US, along with other extremely high barriers to entry that make farming an extremely difficult job. Anti-consumer practices rule virtually all consumer goods. In fact, even medical goods suffer from this. The price of surgery is so high because medical equipment is so difficult to repair. And of course, Milton Friedman did not live to see this. He died in 2006, right before Apple and Microsoft basically took over the whole world. When Milton Friedman died, Louis Rossman's balls hadn't even dropped, or probably they just dropped a lot, whatever. You know, I would love to get these two in a room and have them discuss anti-consumer and anti-repair practices, because this is something corporations have caught on and they do it like crazy. But the point still stands. In the end, the world Hayek and Friedman saw doesn't exist anymore, and it is very different. Markets, I would argue, do not exist anymore. And you can ask a conservative or a liberal, fucking Noam Chomsky or whatever, and they will say a similar thing. Now, why? They will say for different reasons, but on the descriptions, virtually everybody agrees. Markets and opportunities just don't exist anymore. And nowadays, you can slave away for some company to just afford a Netflix subscription and send $5 a month to your OnlyFans girl to have her read out your name. This is what you and I work for. If you and I go to war tomorrow, it is going to be for Apple's stock price. It is not going to be to beat the Nazis or whatever the fuck. Okay, that was 100 years ago, 80 years ago. You get the point. You and me, we pray to Apple, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. And this is why people don't want to enlist in the military. And this is why people don't want to work. And this is why people are genuinely, they appear to be lazy and all that. Yeah, that's my take on it. As you can see, I haven't included many statistics in this video. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And again, I just want to stress my point in the end of this all further. Become a landed gentry. Okay, the city is not gonna give a fuck about you. Okay, once shit hits the fan, you're gonna be the first ones to get fucked over. So start watching your own asses. Thank you for your time. And yeah, have a nice day.